Why? Because he is doing what he is supposed to do. Come on. So what does that show? It shows the poverty of honesty in this nation. That you get one Kulman guessing, and my goodness, you think here is a man who can transform the. That is poverty of honesty. Nothing more. I would rather appreciate Anuradha Koirala and Pushpa Bosnet because they are doing what they are not supposed to do. Mind you, don't take it literally. Kulman is doing what he is supposed to do. If I as a teacher, I teach honestly, I am regular, you say, wow, what a teacher this fellow is. That is making the Prime Minister and everything. That is poverty of thought. That's poverty of thought. So we are so desperate. That element of desperation forces us to cling to even one small act of a good deed. That's poverty. So, the drought, the scarcity of honest people, when we have this, we have a society which is diseased. And disease does not only mean physical ailment. It's all about, even corruption is a disease. So I would say why I say Nepal is a rotten, and why I have such a pathetic view of this country. This is my country, yet I have such a bleak view of this country. Why I say that Nepal is rotten or a diseased country, and I emphasize the word diseased. I think we are a diseased nation because we cling to people like Kulman Gising, who lights our lights. He lights our lights, and we hope he will tap our waters. He will water our taps, he will water our taps. I think we are a diseased people. Again, this might surprise you, and some of you might also be engaged in that. When we make a big carnivalesque celebration, cleaning of the Bagmati river, and we say, wow, look at this man called Lilamani Pode, who is cleaning the Bagmati. Well, good for him. He has now been promoted to the ambassador. But do you think that that is something to be celebrated? You know what? There were more than 125 NGOs, INGOs, organizations directly or indirectly involved with Clean Bagmati campaign. Millions of dollars have come here. And we celebrate every Saturday. What is the celebration about? You wear, whether Standard Chartered Bank t-shirt or Naval Bank, someone will sponsor in the name of corporate social responsibility. You go there, have your gloves, wear the boots, take selfies, push them into the Facebook, and you call it cleaning the Bagmati. You pick up a lump of plastic, put it by the side of the river, which obviously next day will slip again down into the... How many weeks have gone? How many millions of dollars have been spent on Bagmati? And we say, wow, look at this man, Lilamani. He's so honest, and he has attempted to mount the unsurmountable, which is cleaning the Bagmati. We are diseased because shamelessly we bring money in the name of Chepangs, in the name of Dalits, in the name of minorities, and we become wealthy. Finally, I would say we are diseased Because an honest man, like, you may disagree, an honest man like Dr. Govinda Casey has to stake his life again and again and again for issues that are not at all issues. Do you think a man has to stake his life to say, please don't take too much fee from the students? Please don't pay bribe. My goodness, what kind of society we are living in? It's pathetic and it is painful. When this man, and the tragedy is, when this man has retreated, he has seen that there is no hope. And in the last of his, what was that? His satyagraha, whatever you call it, he had to withdraw on his own because he realized that the society is diseased to such an extent that my death would make no impact on it. So why should I die? That's a big tragedy. When honest people lose hope, nothing can be more devastating than that. So that's why I say, and where is my connection with the humanities? I say, you know what? You will be saying, okay, this all boils down to management. We are not managing our resources properly. Let us allocate our resources. Let us look into it and have a pilot project and do this and that. I would say no. The biggest problem is we are a nation devoid of heroes. We are a nation devoid of leaders. We have politicians, but we don't have leaders and statements. We don't have mythologies. We don't have stories. Now, why do I say this is? Heroes, leaders, mythologies, and stories, what do they do is, they give us a sense of proportion which is so fundamental to the overall progress of a nation. If I ask you, these are heroes and leaders and mythologies and stories are the bonding factors. It's not money that brings in development. These people and these concepts and ideas are what really defines a nation. After thousands of years also, Italy survives. You know why? Because it has such amazing stories of its own. America is consistently generating, yes, America is consistently creating new stories. Look at all the Avengers series. What is it trying to do? It is trying to create stories, mythologies that every nation, every person within the nation will identify himself or herself. Now, if I ask you, is there any hero? Takat hero. Nyaya napaye Gorkha janu, that was pervasive. Why? Who was that king? No, Ram. I went there, and the tragedy was, some political ideology was so irritated by that notion that they destroyed the image and dumped it down the cliff. You don't have is. Now, these things are what really define a nation. Mind you, we may not agree with that, but until and unless you have these defining people, Nepal is totally as absent. We don't have, give me one name which every Nepali national will be proud of. There is always a debate. Kasai Prithvinarayan Saha oh, to the imperialist ho. He is a colonizer, So until and unless, छुट्टी दिन दे तो कहीं बंदा हो. So until and unless you have this unifying object, no nation can survive. No nation can survive until you create heroes. There's a wonderful incident that happened in New York, and that's why America is so bent upon creating heroes. There was this, in New York, there's a place called Central Park. In the middle of that humongous city of millions, you have an amazing open space. Look at our open spaces. What have we done with that? So what happened there was, now this is something we need to reflect upon. What happened there was, a boy and a girl who were friends, means they were girlfriend, boy. He took his girlfriend to Central Park, and strangely, and this was and this incident was read so much. Intriguingly, what he did was, a very well-to-do family people, both of them. He raped her and strangled her to death there. And he sat there. The police came, and the police, he did not run. He admitted the guilt, but the only thing he was saying is, I want to go home. That was the statement. He had a house. So Rollo May, this is an existential psychologist. Read this. He says, let me try to see why this happened. And he says that, you know what? The problem with America is it does not have heroes. It does not have mythologies. And when these mythologies are the foundation from which the whole edifice of nation building are built upon. Now, why I say this is, there is a wonderful movie called The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. It's a black and white movie, very slow. But the intriguing thing about that movie was, my goodness, what is really development can be understood how we generate and create stories and legends. Development is not about people working on only. Development is about how people think about collaborating with one another and what makes them think. That's the point. And what makes them think is not how much money has come, but what is the story that connects us? What is the story that binds us? What is it that can inspire us? It may be totally false, but the stories are so powerful that even it can triumph over facts and truths. That's the power of stories. So The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is an amazing insight into what really is the fundamental principle that drives development of any society. How many of us watch The Simpsons? The Simpsons, one of the most watched television serials in American history. One of the episodes has Lisa Simpson finding the man that was being celebrated is actually a thief. And there is a heavy celebration. And that man's name was what was driving Springfield towards development. And see things that, the question that haunts her is, highly sensitive little girl, should I tell the truth to the people that this is a thief? Why are you celebrating it? Or should I let the story continue and let the people be bonded by one concept? You know what? at the end of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, the reporter, he knows that, come on, this is not the man you are celebrating is not the real killer of who has liberated you, but there is someone else. So he asks a question to someone that, look, now that you know, do I print the legend or do I print the truth? Now if I ask you the same question, what will your answer be? Do you print the story?
Listen.
Or do you print the truth? That's the problem. That's the problem with us. That is when you do not see what really makes a society come together. Look, when legends and facts the truth, collide with one another, print the legend, not the fact. It might sound very ridiculous, but most societies are developed on the basis of legends, not on the basis of facts. No. If we do not have a fascination for stories, if we do not promote stories, no nation can survive. We have totally destroyed our heroes. We don't have any. We don't have stories that binds a nation. So tell me. Do we have mythologies that bind the whole nation? No. That's why we are a diseased nation. We are a nation of poverty. And what is the consequence of not having a unifying object? Let me tell you. We don't have this sense of proportion. What we really are, what really constitutes a Nepal and the Nepali when we are no. Our whole development projects are so isolated and so alienated from the national context that it can never make an impact. 10 pudiya Chittagol hamle dimla. Can you imagine how much of money has been pumped in after post-90s into Nepal through NGOs and INGOs? Unimaginable. Unimaginable. But the element of development is still, it has not improved, in fact. So how do we explain that? We must explain it. And I will say that. Why is it happening? We are relentlessly pursuing the ideology of dismantlement. Not unification, but we are pursuing the ideology of dismantlement. The ideology of fragmentation. And the same thing can be reflected in the approach to development also. Why are we doing so? Because we don't have heroes, because we don't have mythology, because we don't have stories that bring together and say, okay, Mechima euta baseko manchele Mahakaliko mancheko sense lai pani bujhna sakन्छ. You'll be surprised that far western region almost has no relationship with the center. It has more relationship with India because there is nothing unifying that can make them feel that I belong to this nation. And it seems that W.B. Yeats has brilliantly come up with a line in one of his poems, and he says, the center no longer holds. There is no center. And unless you have a center, you cannot achieve anything. You need a center. And centers are created by the heroes, by the stories, by the visionaries, by these mythologies. So the center does not hold any more. And so, survive we will do. No moranjal samudha bachinja. But survival does not only means living. Survival means living with dignity. That's the problem. And I was reflecting upon, because Nimesh told me that, okay, let me think over it, and I was reflecting upon what has development, how do development people reflect upon the definition of development. In one place I said that, so the question is, as we said, if you ask me, we have totally destroyed our heritages. And nations that do not have an understanding and respect for history are condemned nations, are doomed nations. If you do not have a sense of history, you are doomed, you are condemned. That's what I feel about this country. Kasto mazale bhancha ke, and I want to read something. This fellow reflects and says, what do we mean by development? He says, development implies, he says, intentional social change. Intentional social change in accordance with societal objectives. Intentional social change in accordance with societal objectives or organized. The most disorganized approach to development can be found in the whole world. Nepal, I think, ranks among the topmost nations where the notion of development is the most disorganized. And we could not digest it because it pushed us to such a situation, and it revealed us and made us so naked that we had to ban it. So, organized intervention in collective affairs, that's another. Personally, we say is, we are unable. That's why I said, Nepal cannot even imagine of talking about development. We have not been able to acknowledge or identify our societal objectives. Societal objectives. What is it? Don't just tell me that, that is not something that is acceptable. You can say that, but that's not acceptable. So we have not been able to acknowledge or identify our societal objectives, and we have no idea at all what it means by organized intervention. My goodness, development is about organized intervention. Tell me, where is this organized intervention? Millions of dollars are coming here. Where is it? No. That is the tragedy of this nation. Now let me end with a book. This is an amazing book called Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton, written almost 70 years ago. 70 years ago, this man wrote, and the context is Africa, South Africa, not Africa is a continent. The context is South Africa. Let me read it and then get your reflection, reaction to it. Just listen to it. Whether this man was writing for South Africa in the 1940s or is writing for us in 2019. Just the first page of this book and the end. There is a lovely road that runs from Jopo, from Jopo into the hills. These hills are grass covered and rolling, and they are lovely beyond any singing of it. The road climbs 7 miles into them, into Carisbrook, And from there, if there is no mist, you look down on one of the fairest valleys of Africa. About you there is grass and bracken, and you may hear the forlorn crying of the titi. Oh, it's a bird. One of the birds of the veldt. Below you is the valley of the Umzimkulu, on its journey from Drakensberg to the sea, and behind the river, great hill after great hill, and behind them the mountains of Ignali and East Wakeland. The grass is rich and matted, and you can see the soil. It holds the rain and the mist, and they seep into the ground, feeding the streams in every kloof. It is well tended, and not too many cattle feed upon it. Not too many fires burn it, laying bare the soil. Stand unshod upon it, without shoes upon it, for the ground is holy, sacred, being even as it came from the Creator. Keep it, guard, keep it. Now listen to this. Keep it, guard it, care for it. For it cares men, guards men. For it keeps men, guards men, cares for men. Destroy it, and man is destroyed. The text continues, 2 more paragraphs. When you stand, the grass is rich and matted. You cannot see the soil, but the rich green hills break down. They fall to the valley below, and falling change their nature. For they grow red and bare. They cannot hold the rain and mist, and the streams are dry in the kloofs. Too many cattle feed upon the grass, and too many fires have burnt it. Stand shod upon it, for it is coarse and sharp, and the stones cut under the feet. It is not kept, or guarded, or cared for. It no longer keeps men, guards men, cares for men. The Titihoya does not cry here anymore. Now the final paragraph. The great hills stand desolate, and the earth has torn away like flesh. The lightning flashes over them, the clouds pour down upon them, the dead streams come to life full of red blood of the earth. Down in the valleys, women scratch the soil that is left. The maize hardly reaches the height of a man. There are valleys of old men and old women, of mothers and children. The men are away, the young men and the girls are away. The soil cannot keep them anymore. 70 years ago, this man had seen when a nation cannot keep its young, and when the nation only has, I don't know how many of you come from villages. My village is just 58 kilometers from Pokhara. And it's such a beautiful place. But all we have there are old men, old women, and children. The young men, the young girls, they are no longer there. Why? Because the soil has been destroyed. The soil means the essence of the nation has been destroyed to such extent that every day from Trivandrum International Airport, legally, you'll be surprised to think how much of illegal work was. Legally around 2,000 plus young men and women leave this country. And we talk about development? Come on. How can I be positive? So think over these issues. And I don't know whether I have made you feel good or miserable. but I'm ready to defend my